At the coding level, this requires changes in the program thread 8.c in 4 places. The very first thing is the inclusion of this line at the very top of the program. The reason for having this will be explained later. Next, we define a variable of pthread barrier type. It is named barrier over here. You can use any variable name. And this is a built-in mechanism provided by the operating system. Before it can be used, it has to be initialized. And here we have the code for initialization. To initialize such a barrier, we have to use pthread barrier init. The first parameter to this is the barrier variable declared above, and the third parameter to this function is the number of threads that this barrier is supposed to operate upon. And this is very important. If this value is incorrect, then the barrier will not produce desired results. The middle parameter is null over here because we want to use the barrier with default attributes. If you want to change the attributes, then you have to use the steps as described in the documentation. But for our purpose, default barrier attributes are sufficient. And upon success, pthread barrier init will return 0. In case of a problem, in case of an error, it will return a number indicating an error. So for error checking, the return value can be encapsulated in an if statement as shown over here. For error checking, pthread barrier init can be called inside an if statement as shown over here. So we have gone through 3 out of the 4 changes required to thread 8.c and convert it into thread 9.c. The next step is to modify our code where we actually will use the barrier. And in this example it is desired that the for loop in all threads proceed together. Therefore, the use of barrier would be inside the body of the for loop. And here we have the call to pthread barrier wait. And notice that we have to pass it as a parameter the barrier that was initialized in the beginning of this program. The initialization of the barrier must be done carefully. Specifically, if this barrier is supposed to synchronize 6 threads, then at the time of initialization, that must have been specified as a parameter to pthread barrier init. If that value is incorrect at initialization, then this pthread barrier wait will not work correctly. And the return value of pthread barrier wait is inspected for errors as shown over here. And this is a peculiar situation, and I will explain further why it is to be done this way.